Alright, so, the Garden Warfare story so far. Garden Warfare 1 was released in February 2014 and after receiving several pieces of DLC, had a decent enough multiplayer with pretty fun characters. And overall the game was pretty enjoyable. But the game had obvious flaws. There was basically no single player, the zombies seemed painfully underutilized, the leveling up was awful, and the game as a whole didn't feel complete. A sequel to this game could be something truly amazing. Well, it seems PopCap felt the same, as in June of 2015 a short teaser was released. No gameplay was shown, it was just some text and a few noises. However, the most important takeaway from this was that they were preparing for a Plants vs Zombies worldwide reveal at Microsoft's E3 press conference. I wonder what... I'm not even going to finish that. You know what's coming. Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2 was announced. The announcement included a trailer that made my life peak at 13 years of age. The game was slated for a spring 2016 release. Alongside the trailer, some gameplay footage was released, showing off the new zombie characters and graveyard ops. Garden ops, but you play as zombies. We'll get to this, don't worry. Starting that day, a 13-year-old Hyperion started on a long journey of waiting for this game to release. In July, we got a trailer showing off a new map and other basic features, like the fact this game was going to have over 100 playable characters, with most of the characters returning from Garden Warfare 1. In August, we got yet another trailer showing off a new map, but this time, they're on the moon! September is when we start to get some real information about the game. A short video was released spotlighting the 6 new characters and their abilities. In December, a video was released showing off the backyard battleground, a sort of hub world, replacing the main menu from Garden Warfare 1. January saw the announcement of a multiplayer beta. I don't remember much about it. All I do remember is that you could play as 2 characters from each class on 2 game modes, and that's about all I can remember. But I remember it being really cool that I could finally play as these new classes that have been teased. Well, it's February now, meaning the greatest thing to ever happen to humanity is about to happen. Oh yeah, but before that we've got 2 new videos showing off variants from the new and old classes. But then, on the 25th of February, it finally released. In Europe, that is. America got it 2 days before. You lucky sons of bitch. So that was a brief overview of the build up to release. Now it's 4.5 years on and I've sank well over 1,000 hours into this game, and I'm about to release all my thoughts and feelings I have towards this game and ultimately embarrass myself in front of all of my peers. We're not off to the best start. The opening isn't as good as Garden Warfare 1's. I'm sorry, but that title screen was just way better. Let's start this review by looking at the new character classes. I am only going to be talking about the new classes as I've already covered the old ones in a previous video. Alright, so to get things started on the plant side we have the Citron, a 4-legged orange. The Citron is the plant tank class, sporting a whack ton of hit points and a slow movement speed. Citron's abilities include the EM Peach. This is a stun bomb that functions pretty much the same as the Engineer's stun grenade. The Citron also has a peel shield, which can offer increased protection without affecting movement speed. Citron's last ability turns him into a ball, and this has no cooldown. However, you do get 2 abilities once you've entered the ball, which do have a cooldown. One is a speed boost, and the other propels you forward a short distance, dealing damage to whatever you happen to hit. Next class is the Rose, the the support class. The Rose's main form of attack is a wand that fires homing shots, and the homing is busted beyond all belief. However, Rose's abilities are definitely tailored to the role of support. There's Time Snare. This stuns enemies that happen to get caught within it. There's also the Goatify, which turns enemies into goats. And no, I didn't just make that up. And lastly, you got Arcane Enigma. It turns you invincible for a short time, allowing you to run away from a close-range gunfight that you're inevitably going to lose. And you can also attack by pressing the trigger. Lastly, on the plant side, we have the Colonel Corn, pretty much the plant's answer to the foot soldier. He features an assault rifle-like weapon, along with a rocket launcher of sorts. The other 2 abilities are an airstrike. Throwing a potato on the ground will trigger an airstrike. It's best we just don't ask any more questions. The last ability is Husk Op. This ability is broken and abused by nearly everyone who plays this character. This ability launches you into the air, while also shooting a highly damaging trail of corn behind you. This ability will literally bail you out of any situation at the press of a button. Moving on over to the zombie side, we have the Imp, easily the coolest of the new classes. The Imp is tiny and as such has a tiny hitbox. PopCap also gave this little fella a double jump, which means good luck trying to hit it. The Imp also has an incredibly fast rate of fire, however he does have the least health out of any class. His abilities are as follows. A Gravity Grenade. This suspends enemies in a gravity field for a short period of time. And there's the Imp Carter. Press RB for maximum this. And lastly, the Imp's third and final ability calls in a robot mech suit. The mech does come with its own abilities as well, and each Imp variant comes with its own unique mech that also comes with its own unique abilities. Next up is the Super Brains, the zombie melee class. His main form of attack is punching, and he is the first character to introduce dual primaries. Zoom in to change your punch to a beam. His abilities include a kick, and a tornado. Lastly on the zombies, there's Captain Deadbeard, the zombie sniper class. This character continues the hot new trend of having two primaries. Zoom in to access a sniper, and without zooming in you get a shotgun. His abilities are as follows. The Barrel Blast. This puts you inside of a barrel that still allows you to move around. It gives you armor and gives you access to a highly powerful explosion by detonating the barrel, either by pressing the trigger or when the power runs out. I'm sorry, what? Why does the barrel have power? It's a barrel! Next up is the Cannon Rodeo, another mounted ability that gives you access to, get this, a cannon. And this character's last ability is the Parrot Pow, which is a parrot drone. That's right, the engineer no longer has a drone. His drone got replaced by the Bolt Blaster, and the drone license was handed to the pirate instead. So those are the new classes. Each new class has an additional 4 variants, with the exception of the Imp, which got a Mass Effect crossover character called the Z7. The 8 old class has got 2 additional variants as well, and variants function the same as they did in the last game. You've still got your Ice, Toxic, Fire and Power variants, along with variants that have their own unique gimmick. However, Garden Warfare 2 introduced legendary variants. Variants that have a legendary meter that is typically killed by getting around 5 kills, but there are a couple of legends that are exceptions to this rule. Upon filling the meter, you get a damage, armor and speed buff for a short period of time. You obtain these characters through the sticker packs, however they are incredibly rare. It took me the best part of a year to get all 4 of them. Overall, the new classes are great additions. You may view Colonel Corn and Pirate as uninspired clones of pre-existing classes, but I feel they have enough going on to justify them being here. Plus it's nice to be able to have a class that fits your playstyle no matter what side you're on. There's still the huge variation in characters and those classes within the class type variants from Garden Warfare 1, but now with even more varied selection. It adds quite a massive amount of replayability in a way that I haven't seen any other game replicate. The fact you don't have to stray away from your preferred class to get a brand new experience is amazing. And the fact that you can find a variant that very perfectly fits your playstyle is also amazing. Alright, now let's move on to this game's headline feature, the Backyard Battleground. Alright, so the Backyard Battleground. It's effectively a hub world. You enter it as soon as you start the game up, and as soon as you spawn in, you start off in a base that houses a few things. It has the multiplayer portal, your gateway to the online, and a terminal for ops mode. But as well as this, there's the quest board, where you accept quests. For completing the quests, you get golden stars and pins. The pins will be used to increase your XP multiplier. As get this, they finally fixed leveling up. Instead of that incredibly BS star system, all you have to do to level up is just earn XP. You can do this by literally just playing. Everything you do nets you XP. Kills, objective score, everything. Each variant has a total of 50 levels. And every 10 levels you are required to promote your character, which resets it back to level 1. Every 5th and 9th level you get an upgrade for whatever variant you've just leveled up. Each character is only allowed to equip 3 upgrades at once, which does mean you'll have to mix and match. And just to reiterate, each individual variant has 50 levels, and the upgrades you unlock for that variant, only that variant can use. Some upgrades are exclusive to particular variants, like a toxic upgrade or a fire upgrade, but most of them are the same across all the characters. This does mean that the maximum rank has gone from 313 to 5,455, which is, yeah, that's a pretty big number. But the difference here being that it's actually fun to rank up characters. The Garden Warfare 1 system was boring and it didn't feel very rewarding. Here, it's neither of those, it's actually fun. Getting to maximum rank isn't a daunting task. Alright, so moving on. Also inside the spawn area is the customization booth. This is replacing the character menu from Garden Warfare 1. You can also access split screen and the sticker shop from this area. Behind the spawn there's a room full of bobbleheads. This is replacing the sticker book. Here you can view customizations and a detailed overview of your stats. Both the plants and the zombie bases are laid out pretty much the same. This last feature, however, isn't laid out the same on both sides. And what is that last feature? Well, it's a fully fledged single player campaign. but we'll talk more about this later on. Outside of the spawn area, the backyard has quite a bit more to offer. There's hidden challenges, missions, and chests, along with 2 types of collectibles. First, there's the golden gnome. These gnomes aren't exclusive to the backyard, as some of these can be found in multiplayer maps, but a lot of them are found here. And the second collectible are snow globes, all of which are located in the backyard. AI enemies spawn from ops mode and fill the entire backyard. This aspect is also dynamic, meaning the more you kill, the more will spawn in. And if you continue to kill, even harder enemies will spawn in, even bosses. Alright, so the backyard then. I think it's pretty cool. It's not just a fancy way of laying out the game modes. PopCap really justified it being here, due to the abundance of collectibles, missions, and chests to find. And it's a great evolution to the menus in Garden Warfare 1. It's not the largest thing in the world, but it's incredibly fun to explore with loads of different environments, an underground area, and even a few hidden areas of the map. So to conclude the backyard, it's enjoyable to explore and its inclusion here is pretty justified. The multiplayer in this game is mostly unchanged from the last. The only difference is all the maps have been changed, but I feel this limited evolution is justifiable. First of all the game modes except one return from Garden Warfare 2, and no new ones are added, but the game modes are already incredibly varied and fun. There is however one large change to an existing game mode. Guns and Graveyards has been removed in favour of Turf Takeover, and now includes maps with zombies on defence. And that is pretty much the only change to the multiplayer lineup, but if it isn't broke, then don't fix it. Secondly, multiplayer feels less of a major feature now. Here it's just like another part of the backyard to enjoy, whereas in Garden Warfare 1 it was basically the only thing you could do. I feel its lack of evolution shows plenty of evolution. The fact that they crammed all of Garden Warfare 1 into only a small portion of what Garden Warfare 2 has to offer shows just how bigger Garden Warfare 2 is compared to Garden Warfare 1. As well as multiplayer, there's also private and solo play. These allow you to play any game mode on any map by yourself, with AI, or with up to 3 other players. You can change team setups, difficulty, and add crazy settings, which add cool things like low gravity or infinite ammo. So that's multiplayer. Next up is Ops mode. Like multiplayer, Garden Ops is pretty much unchanged, with the exception of the addition of new bosses and special waves. However, Garden Warfare 2 introduced Graveyard Ops, which is pretty much Garden Ops but you play as zombies defending a graveyard. There's weeds instead of brown coats, and builder bots instead of potted plants. Ops mode for the most part stays relatively the same. Having Graveyard Ops as an option is pretty novel, but I still feel the same about Ops mode. It's a bit repetitive and not very replayable. I understand it's wholeheartedly a me thing. I can see why people would enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it in Garden Warfare 1 and it's pretty much unchanged here. The only difference is the game actually has a single player, so Ops mode is no longer the only option for that. So as much as I don't enjoy it, I don't have to worry about negating half of this game's content by not playing it, which was something that definitely wasn't possible with Garden Warfare 1. So what about that single player I keep alluding to? Well, both the Plants and Zombies campaigns have similar structures. You start by talking to one individual that gives you your first set of levels. On the zombie side there's 4 and on the plant side there's 5. The missions mostly consist of going around the backyard and completing small objectives, like escorting a tree or killing a group of enemies, with the occasional special ops, which is a short round of ops with a special objective. Once the first set of missions is complete, you get a key to unlock the first of 3 other sets of missions. These ones relate to the new classes. Upon completing the levels, you get another key to unlock the next set, and once all 3 sets are completed, you unlock the final set of levels. Both Plants and Zombies get 3 more levels in this final set, with the final one being a boss hunt. You place a bait to lure in a powerful boss that has a specific way in which you have to defeat them. Upon completing all the sets of missions, you unlock Infinity Time, aka, do I really have to play this again? During Infinity Time, you take control over a robo-dinosaur if you're a plant, and if you're a zombie, you take control of a robo-cat. And you face off against waves of garden gnomes. There are 4 types of gnomes, ones with shields, ones with guns, ones with hammers, and kamikaze gnomes. There are giga gnomes, which are pretty much just mini bosses. There are gnome floaties. These destabilize time, which is signified by a bar at the top of the screen. You must destroy them before the bar empties. There are special waves, 2 of them in fact. The first one is a gnome floaty wave, where you must face off against multiple gnome floaties. And the second one is a nemesis wave, which you just fight regular plants and zombies in. Every 5 rounds you fight a Gnome King. Upon defeating it you move on to the next area, which is fundamentally the exact same area but it's coloured differently. So why then? What's the point in playing this version of Ops that has even less going on? Well, for everything you kill you get get shards. Achieving a certain milestone will net you a certain chest. The higher the amount of shards, the better the chest. Thus, the better the contents. The best chest, so the only one that matters, requires you to get 25,000 shards, which takes a good half an hour of playing per match. The best reward that could come out of these chests is the party characters, legendary variants of the 6 new classes. And this 25,000 shard chest doesn't guarantee a party character piece, it just has the highest chance. But let's say you're lucky. It will take a minimum of 6 hours of playing this game mode to unlock the characters, and that, like I said, is if you're lucky. Are the party characters worth it? Well, they're pretty much the base variants but with a legendary meter, so I guess so. I feel you're only going to play infinity time for the characters. The game mode itself isn't that in depth, however it is endless, so it could be fun to get a high score. As a neat little extra for beating the campaign, it's fine, and you do get the 6 characters out of it, so all in all, it's not half bad, but don't expect much from it. The campaign as a whole is a fun little time. It's not the longest or most in-depth thing in the world, but it's still pretty fun and you get some nice rewards for it. Garden Warfare 2 definitely benefits from its inclusion. It offers something outside of the regular multiplayer to enjoy, and the party characters as a final reward are challenging but nonetheless rewarding to unlock. This also helps to fix one of Garden Warfare 1's biggest issues without feeling shoehorned in. The places you go feel like integral parts of the backyard. I also find it amusing that the gnomes are treated like these all-powerful beings that exist in their own dimension with their own super advanced technology akin to the makers from Doom. Can I just say that I think having gnomes as the villains fits really well, and I think what they did with them was really creative. I love the aesthetic of the gnome dimension, and oh my god, the music. I also like how parts of the gnome theme bleed into other aspects of the game, like the multiplayer portal appearing as though it had been constructed out of gnome technology. It makes them feel as integral to the game as the plants and zombies, and don't feel like something added after the fact or lazily tacked on. The fact that most of the secrets in this game involve the gnomes, and that said secrets appear to be long forgotten monuments buried underground, creates this mysterious atmosphere. Who are these individuals? Are these remains of their civilization? Where are they now? All of this builds up to infinity time, where you are finally confronted by them in their world. But this creates more questions. Why were there gnome buildings in our world? Is this their homeworld or a prison to contain them? Why do I care? This game did receive a fair bit of post-launch content, starting with the Graveyard Variety Pack in May. The name is a play on a piece of DLC released for Garden Warfare 1, titled the Garden Variety Pack. This DLC released the new map, Aqua Center, which was a remixed Garden Warfare 1 map. It also came with customizations. The next DLC released was Trouble in Zombopolis Part 1. This released with 2 new characters, the Toxic Citron and Breakfast Brains, and a brand new turf map called Zombopolis. The following piece of DLC, Trouble in Zombopolis Part 2, came with community challenges, large quests that net you amazing rewards if the community as a whole can achieve a certain goal. The second feature added was pizza delivery challenges, basically a race against time. You have to get to the finish while avoiding obstacles and enemies. The next update was probably the best piece of DLC they ever added, the Trials of Gnomes. That's right, the gnomes are back. To begin this update, you would have to purchase a key, and you take that key and unlock the huge door opposite to the weird gnome room. Upon unlocking the door, it would reveal a portal that would take you to the gnome dimension. Upon your entry, you are told nothing. You get some cryptic gnome dialogue, but you are pretty much left to figure it out. I love how the character of the gnomes remains so consistent, still shrouded in so much mystery. You're just left to figure out this new place you find yourself in. The fact that the gnomes put together a set of death trials to watch you complete for their own amusement adds to this all-powerful godlike image. You feel like a puppet made to dance by these porcelain puppet masters. This show don't tell mentality makes me way too interested in gnomes in a game called Garden Warfare than I think I probably should. I am definitely reading into it too much, but god damn it, I'm invested. This update does involve another gnome character that, alright fine, I'll shut up. Rux, as he's known, does serve a gameplay purpose. He sells you customizations and brand new abilities. These abilities are only available through him. It's a little annoying you can't get them from regular packs, but it is what it is. The main bulk of this update consists of the trials, which upon completing them will net you some nice rewards. Here's how you unlock them. The town hall, which resides in the center of the backyard, finally opens. And inside is the mystery portal. A bi-weekly mystery game mode will appear in it and would last a few days before getting replaced the following week. Playing the game mode in the portal will net you rainbow stars, which can be used to open chests, which reset when the game mode does. Opening the most expensive chest has the chance to get you one of 4 keys to one of the 4 trials. You take your key back to the gnome dimension and look for the trial that it corresponds to. Upon completing the trial, you get a code, which you input in the center room in the Gnome dimension. Doing this will spawn in a Gnome boss, and killing that boss will open another room. In here, you get a section to the master code. Once you have repeated this process for all 4 trials, you work out the master code, and upon inputting this code, it will spawn in a Gnome King. Killing the Gnome King will open the last portal to your rewards. However, the chests have 5 locks on, which require rainbow stars, so you have to grind for more rainbow stars to open the locks. And once all this is done, you can finally claim your rewards. What's the reward? 2 brand new characters, and not just 2 brand new variants, but 2 brand new classes, the Hovergoat and Torchwood. And for characters that take a minimum of a month to unlock, they're pretty good. The Torchwood has the most broken abilities in the game, and was pretty broken in general before a swift nerf. Blazing Blast can insta-kill anything, and Leaf Shield practically makes you invincible. The Torchwood also has the most health out of any character bar the Z-Max. The Hovergoat is much more sensible. He's more support than anything else. He can buff teammates' damage and give them a speed boost. He also has a pretty decent damage output as well. The last major piece of DLC to release was the Frontline Fighters, coming with 4 brand new characters, 2 being legendary and a new map, Frontline Flats. This update, however, started a bad trend in this game, being able to buy the legendary characters, which may sound like the veteran player whining over his beloved game. At this point, yeah, pretty much. Characters on sale for real money are pretty innocent, but this trend of being able to buy characters gets much worse. I did say this was the last major piece of DLC, as PopCap announced they would no longer be adding content to this game. This lasted for about 2 years before they went back on it and released some more DLC. This mostly included new mystery portal game modes like Soil Survivors and the return of Taco Bandits, this time rebranded as Capture the Taco. Instead of plants exclusively defending the taco and the zombies exclusively trying to capture it, now both teams have a taco to defend and a taco to go and capture. Also in this update, we got 3 costumes for Torchwood and Hovergoat. Moving on a couple of months, we got a brand new character. What kind of character is this going to be? A corn maybe? New foot soldier? Perhaps a new super brains, that'd be amazing. No, a new Chomper. This Chomper was the Twilight Chomper, which was pretty much a reskin of the Unicorn Chomper, and the Unicorn Chomper was a legacy reward for reaching max rank in the previous game. The Twilight Chomper was obtainable through a community challenge, but if you did miss the community challenge, you could just buy him. And the final piece of additional content to Garden Warfare 2 was an event titled Tales of the Taco. This event lasted a month, and each week of that month there was a new game mode in the mystery portal, and these were brand new, never seen before game modes. Alongside these new game modes, there was a weekly community challenge. What was the occasion, I hear you ask? Garden Warfare 2 never did any of these kind of events previously. Well, after the event ended, PopCap aired a brand new trailer for a brand new Plants vs Zombies game. So it was pretty much just saying goodbye to this game, and basically announcing, yeah, I know previously we said we weren't going to continue to support this game, now we're really not going to continue to support this game. And they really meant it. The community challenge vanished, and the mystery portal is now limited to once a month, and game modes only last a week when they do appear in it. The DLC didn't add all that many characters, it added 8, which is opposed to Garden Warfare 1's 20 post-launch characters, but it made up for it with the Trials of Gnomes, which added an entirely new aspect of the game. It added mystery portals, which included tons of new game modes. Where Garden Warfare 2 lacks in post-launch characters, it excels in brand new experiences and fun ways to play the game, and in my opinion offers heaps more enjoyment than adding new characters. Kept the game fresh with constant new mystery portal game modes and with new community challenges, whereas Garden Warfare 1's DLC felt like it was just trying to complete an unfinished multiplayer game. Garden Warfare 2's DLC feels like a true expansion to an already amazing game. Before we reach a conclusion, there is one more thing worth a mention. It started with Frontline Flats, with the addition of being able to buy legendary characters with real money. But like previously mentioned, this isn't a big deal. Those characters in the grand scheme of things are pretty innocent. Nothing broken here. It gets worse. They later made the Iron Citron and Toxic Brains available to purchase, 2 of the most broken characters. Before this didn't matter, as they were pretty hard to get and so not many people had them, but now anyone can just buy them straight up, making multiplayer a chore to play through. But even this is the tip of the iceberg. What follows can only be described as rage-inducing. They put the party characters up for sale. These characters were supposed to be a gratifying reward for beating the campaign and playing through Infinity Time. What's the point of either of those things now? A lot of the fun from Infinity Time was derived from unlocking these characters. But even this pales in comparison to their next move. They put Hovergoat and Torchwood up for sale. This one was the only one that genuinely annoyed me. The single hardest pair of characters in the game to unlock, just handed to everyone for a small fee. fee. This not only detracts a lot of the value from a large part of this game, but it also worsens the already tainted multiplayer, and it understandably angered people who had unlocked these characters legit. And for the record, the trials are a ton of fun, and finally unlocking the characters is a satisfying endeavour, so you're actually removing a lot of fun for yourself by buying them, just saying. So they made completing the campaign and playing Infinity Time useless. They made the trials of Gnomes useless, thus making the mystery portal useless, and they also killed multiplayer. Yeah, good job you guys. Saying it killed multiplayer is a bit hyperbolic, but making it so anyone, no matter how long you've played the game, can just buy these really good characters does make it quite difficult to play sometimes. And if you're a newcomer to this game, I recommend not buying any of the characters. A lot of the characters they put up for sale are a ton of fun to unlock, like previously mentioned. So if you want to get the most out of this game, I recommend unlocking them legit. You won't regret it. It's a ton of fun. It's conclusion time. Is Garden Warfare 2 a good sequel? Yes. It's everything a good sequel strives to be. It expands on the original in a way that adds so much without removing any elements that made the original so fun. More importantly, it fixed pretty much all the issues with Garden Warfare 1. It fixed leveling up, it added single player, it gave the zombies a greater purpose. It fully realised the potential of Garden Warfare 1. Is Garden Warfare 2 a good standalone experience without the context of the original? Absolutely. The huge variation of characters adds so much replay value, and the game modes are so fun. The single player, while being on the short side, is still enjoyable and has its charm. The extra content like Infinity Time in the backyard add a lot of fun as well. Garden Warfare 2 is a well-rounded, complete feeling game that realises the potential of the original. I cannot wait to see where they take the series next. A successor to an already amazing game will be true. Oh god.